Gary Ablett christens the newly lit Cats Stadium with a possible Goal of the Year contender. Adam Good stars against the Bombers. The Dockers get home in a thriller, and the Dogs, they win again. It's a popular panel. Tommy Harley, Luke Ball and the Richo Man. Blues spearhead Jared Waite and the Suns veteran Campbell Brown, they're the guests. We hear Sheeds' pre-game address, and don't miss Campbell Brown's Phantom race call. Let's get it started.
And away we go to get things started. Roar of the crowd, and we're into it. This will be a lifter. It goes bang. Looks for it and gets it. Valentine's got it. That is brilliant. He's been terrific. Not from there. Superstar.
Kennedy, who's missed a couple of set shots. Well, there you go.
You start well. You put the pressure on you right in the first second.
At the back, Tom Mitchell. What a debut!
Here's Ablett from the pocket.
Don't tell me. Goodness gracious me. The lead. Outstanding from Jack. Zero tried to turn his man. The sucker off the ground. He's just so excited.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Game Day. I'm Hamish McLaughlin. Thanks for joining us. Hope your team has had a win this weekend. Plenty to cover this morning. It's round 10. The lights are on at the Cattery, and it was Gary Ablett back there last night for the first time. Lots of people to welcome Jared Waite and Campbell Brown this morning. Great panel too. One of the most popular Tigers of all time. Welcome to Matthew Richardson. Hello, Richo.
Good morning. It's a great night down at Geelong, but not just for the new lights, Tommy. And Tommy was up in the super box all night. But the Gold Coast Suns, they made it a spectacular contest, and it was really enjoyable.
Great to see Gary Ablett back as well. If you haven't seen his goal, hang around. There's something very special. We welcome 2010 Magpies Premiership player, one of the great blokes in the AFL. Welcome to Bally. Welcome to Luke Ball.
Thanks, Emma. Yeah, look, it's great to be back playing after 12 months off, and I'll tell you what, the game has not got any easier. I'm still sore from Friday night, so it's great to be back out there.
Pies winners in Friday night football against the Lions. Dual Cats Premiership captain Tom Harley, and now a Father of the Year contender. Welcome, Tom. We haven't seen you since you became a father to Jimmy.
No debut for this year home on game day. I've missed, obviously, your company. Do a bit of work with Richo as well, so it's good to be back.
Now, Jimmy has been your firstborn, named after Jimmy Bartell, correct?
A tip of the hat to Jimmy Bartell. It was named after my grandfather, but Jimmy's convinced it's named after him. And this is we've got him on the Harley already. That's not him, Hayne. That's a gag, I think.
Well, I don't know.
It went down like a Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And that was the first family portrait. So my wife's very active on social media, and we put that out on her Instagram.
You getting any sleep, Tommy, or not?
Not a lot, Richo. You know the answer to that. So no, 3-hour blocks. It's all good.
You spoke about your wife being active on social media. Last night, you were struggling to get in contact with your wife, so the Prime Minister got involved. That's not something that often happens, but I suppose when you're a two-time premiership captain and you're launching a stadium, you get some help.
Well, if you're struggling to get in touch with your wife, and it's important that you do get in touch with your wife when you're away from home, I thought about the best way to do that, and the PM was on the table across, and I thought, can you give us a hand?
You're a powerful unit. Let's go to the results from the weekend. Friday night footy, Bally's boys beat up on the Lions, 49 points in the end. Lions never in the hunt. The Blues, 94-point winners over the Giants. Jared Waite in to talk about the Blues. They've won 6 of the last 7. Fremantle, they're going really well. Haven't lost in 6 outings. There's a draw in between with the Swans, 9-point winners. Sydney Swans by 44 over the Bombers. Goods 4 after a week of unwelcome distractions. Western Bulldogs got home by 9 over Port in Darwin, and Geelong level at three-quarter time, won by 52, would you believe? So to the ladder we go. Geelong, for now, on top of the table. If the Hawks beat the D's this afternoon, which they should do, they jump back on top. Sydney and Fremantle, they share 3rd and 4th on points. Sydney ahead on percentage. Essendon clear in 5th. The Blues 6 of the last 7. Collingwood jump into the 8. West Coast have got the Tigers on Monday night football. You can see it on 7. The Crows fall out of the 8. Richmond, as I said, have got the Tigers, the Eagles, and North and the Saints play this afternoon. To the Steel Blue, common medal, ladder tally, round 10. Josh Kennedy. He's got a game in hand and still leads. He's got the Tigers tomorrow night. Lindsay Thomas, the Saints this afternoon. Jack Revolt is in Perth tomorrow. Jeremy Cameron, a couple yesterday. He is a very, very good young footballer. Adam Goods had a week that he would rather forget. John Longmire, the coach, was glowing in his praise of Adam.
Oh, I don't think any of us can really sum up how difficult it was for him. I think we can think about it and try and put ourselves in his shoes, but the reality is you don't know. Oh, nothing much probably surprises me with Goodsy. You know, he's a pretty mentally strong person.
Paulie, he's mentally strong. He had 15 touches, 4 goals, and arguably the worst week you could have leading into a big game.
Yeah, and it was great to see a show of respect there from the Bomber captain. But yeah, he was quiet in the first half. He had a fair bit of attention after a super game last week. But as champions do, he found a way to impart his influence on the game and ended up with 4 goals. And in that third quarter, probably turned the tide in the Swans' way.
And the lights were turned on at the Cattery last night. It's been a long time in coming. Congratulations to Frank Costa and Brian Cook and Colin Carter and all involved. It's been huge for the football club and the community, and there's a lot of locals that are very, very happy.
Mate, it's just fantastic. Just filled with pride for Geelong.
So I went here in 1952, so I've seen a lot of changes. It's terrific.
Can't be compared to the days that we're down here in the mud. No seats. Stand up all day.
I think the people of Geelong have been blown away by this. The lights have exceeded expectations in terms of what they're doing for our city.
That was the acting Lord Mayor of Geelong, Keith Fagg, in the absence of trying to get an interview with our man Cameron Ling. Have a look at this development, Richard. It's been a long time in coming, but it was fantastic last night. I drove down and watched it, sat behind the goals. It was just brilliant.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was just, it's great. It's great for a regional centre, I reckon, to be able to highlight and have showcase games down there. And looks like they may have cricket down there over summer as well, Tommy. It's just great for the town.
And to hear the supporters are really proud of what the footy club's done over a period of 10 to 15 years, and that's the showpiece of it at the moment. There's still a bit of work to do, maybe another third to go, but it was a great event last night, and the community, as you say, Richo, were absolutely wrapped, and Cats got up, Gazza played well, good night all round.
Well, speaking of Gary Ablett, his father dominated that ground for so long, it seemed appropriate that he was back last night. Just have a look at this goal. Degree of difficulty, about 56, but I reckon that's the most applauded goal ever kicked in the Cattery by a non-Cat, Bally.
Yeah, it was, and I love Chris Scott's reaction. I think the camera, we mightn't get it here, but the camera flashed on him, and it was just a little smile, and you see him doing it again, so it's certainly no fluke, but...
That was 2009. It was a carbon copy.
You just look on sometimes, and it's unfair that someone can be that good and do those sort of things, and you think, why can't I ever do that? But he's a freak.
On Twitter, you know how good you are when players from opposition clubs pump you up on Twitter, and after he kicked that goal, it just went berserk. Players from other clubs pumping up Gary Ablett, he's a machine.
Almost depressing watching him play, realising how good you never were. Sando, post the game yesterday, got involved on our weekly chat in regard to the goal review system.
Probably 2 goal umpires, I think, each end. I think that's probably the general consensus across the industry is let's get 2 goal umpires each end and they can both look up and down the post when the ball's going through. So the AFL might look to perhaps trial that over the next pre-season, I think.
Politically very sensitive and measured. It was in regard to the Patrick Dangerfield goal, which was awarded a goal. You look at the scoreline, it was 50-54 pre-kick, so it would have put the Crows in front by a couple of points. Rich went to the goal review system and it's not perfect.
Yeah, it's not perfect, and most of the reviews do come back inconclusive and they never change, so I just reckon we've got to simplify it, and I reckon, Tommy, we just have one video reviewer upstairs. If there's an obvious howler, like the Tommy Hawkins goal in the grand final, radio down to the umpires and change it. But at the moment, it's going to reviews. It's not working. One reviewer upstairs, get rid of the howlers and just leave it at that, unless you can get some more technology.
I reckon Richard's spot on, and make that call definitive. So the field umpires, exactly right. They're mic'd up, and it's no disrespect to the decision that was made. It's okay. That's a clear point, a really clear-cut point, or a goal, either way, and you go from there.
Yeah. You're still going to have human error, Ball, if you have 1, 2 or 7 goal umpires.
Totally agree. I mean, that was only a 20-metre out kick, and it would have been impossible, as you said, for, I reckon, even the second umpire. I mean, it's only grazed the post, and I think the boundary umpire was the one who came in and intervened in that instance and said that he'd heard it hit the post. He clearly hadn't seen it, but he heard it. So that's the beauty of our game. There's human error. Players make errors, umpires make errors, coaches make errors. So, but as you said, though, it's those real howlers that we want cleaned up. Yep. And thankfully for that one, I think the ball came back down and Dangerfield kicked the goal straight away. So I don't think it had an impact on the result.
Worked out well for the Crows. It was a 7-point play instead of 6.
7-point play, it was.
The Dockers were magnificent and got the 4 points in the end. Steve-O's got the latest news this morning on all the Melbourne coaching situation. Campbell Brown, the Phantom Race Call. Jared Waite, he's our next guest. He's in the pool room. He was terrific yesterday. The Blues love it when he's playing. They've won 6 of the last 7. Jared's next.
wasting no time. Bacon square. This has got to carry. Campbell Brown to long range.
A full moon? I'm not superstitious, please.
Wobble towards the 50. It's gathered by Wade. He sends it back right over Dempsey's head. He's got two.
Wait to fly. Yes, a beauty.
Big leap down there. On the outer side, here's Wade. Question of accuracy. Runs in and nails it.
Wade just took him to task, took him to ground. Wade went in a little harder and got there a touch earlier.
He got the overlap to Wade. Wade runs inside the 50. Should kick a goal, and he does. That's his third.
Welcome back to Game Day, a player the Blues love seeing fit and healthy. He's fit and healthy now, 4 starts this year for 4 wins. Welcome to you, Jared.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you playing yesterday. You seem to be moving pretty well. There was a slightly anxious moment for Blues fans, but all okay?
Yeah, very good. Just copped a little knock to the knee, top of the knee. Nothing structural, no need for a scan or anything like that. And should be right to go for the Bombers.
Our boys in the stats department have just done their numbers. You've missed since you debuted 3.5 full seasons, either through injury, suspension or as an emergency or form. And when you play, as we said, 4 outings this year, 4 wins, it's a much better side. Are you feeling now as calm as you have? You're not going to headbutt anyone soon and injury-free as you've been for a while?
Yeah, obviously there's going to be times in games where I'm going to get frustrated, but it's just not crossing that line. But happy where the body's at and just keeping on top of it, making sure have no little hiccups.
Tommy, the Blues yesterday at Etihad Stadium, very wet outside. First day of winter. It had been raining for about 16 hours when this game got underway. Perfect conditions for the Blues to dominate the young Giants. Garlett was outstanding. 4th time this year, 4 goals. Waite 3, Chrissy Yarran on return 3. They dominated from start to finish. Andrew Walker had the ball on a string.
Yeah, good summary there, Hamish. It was a really impressive performance by Carlton. They did exactly what they needed to do, particularly early in the game. Jeff Garlett is playing amazing football. We marvel a lot at the front and square work of Andy Cracker. I reckon Jeffy Garlett's right up there as well. Dennis Armfield. I'd love to know actually who's quicker out of Armfield and Jeff Garlett and Chris Yarran and the boys. But he's providing a lot of really good forward pressure. The Giants were not necessarily in the game on the scoreboard, but certainly they were competing. They were getting their hands on the ball. They were tackling well, trying to stay in touch with the game. But late in quarters, particularly, you call it red time, the Blues really put them to the sword. And it was good to see, from a coaching point of view, a lot of the young Giants getting specific jobs. Dylan Shield ran with Mark Murphy, did a fantastic job. And Toby Green, who was a prolific ball winner for the Giants last year, got his hands on the footy, but he was trying to do a job on Jeff Garlett. Jeremy Cameron, we just marvel at how good he's going to be. Started the game like a house on fire. Didn't really get opportunities. And talk about young talent. Also like to hear about Troy Menzel from Wadey too. He looks like a pretty rare, pretty special talent. So really good performance from the Blues. And the 3 things I learned, I really believe that Mick brings greater flexibility, particularly with the talls. Lockie Henderson as an example, forward and back. Every opportunity every game, I should say, is an opportunity for the young Giants to learn. There's times in games where they're just going to be given different tasks to continue to develop. And as we said off the top, Andrew Walker, he's in all-Australian form. He's obviously spent some time forward. He's taken great hangers. He's playing across half-back now and really provides an unbelievable amount of run and carry, uses the ball well and just links up really well, Jared. Yeah, and I think he's really loving being down the back line. Obviously, suits him well. He's so quick and his skills are so good. And you also know if it's not going his way, swing him down forward, and he's very dangerous forward as well.
Wadey, the one positive I think with Juddy pulling out, and we'll ask you how he is in a minute, was we got another look at Troy Menzel. How's he settled in? I mean, we know there was a lot of talk about him coming in with having a knee reconstruction, having a LARS at 16, so he's obviously got that under control and having no issues there. Yeah, he's had a really good pre-season, a bit up and down, had a little bit of OP, but really come on in leaps and bounds. Played my first game with him was for the Northern Blues, and just his presence to kick the ball, very good user on his left, obviously, and he's going to be a good player for us. And Juddy's okay? Just a bit of hamstring tightness, I think. Didn't train Friday. They basically gave him right until the last minute, but there's no point risking the great man.
Wadey, what about your own form, mate? You've 4 games in this season now. We know you've had a lot of trouble with injury. You're feeling like you're running into some good touch. And where do you like to play? You seem to be playing predominantly forward these days.
Yeah, I love playing forward. I got a couple of years ago a bit of opportunity left and right, down back as well. But finding the role going well at the moment, and just playing a bit higher, especially with Cruz and Warnock and a couple of the ruckmen deeper, sort of frees me up a little bit more.
Is Mick settling on a key forward structure? Do you get the sense? I mean, there's Casbolt spent time there. You mentioned Warnock as well, and obviously yourself and Henderson can swing a bit. Is he any close to sort of finalising that?
It's a bit hard because you've got everyone sort of playing really good football, and it's a good thing to have. You've got blokes putting pressure on from underneath, and it knows that if we're not up to scratch 2 games in a row, you're going to be in the twos. So it's just a good thing to have, is that pressure from underneath.
What about your 3 smalls, Yaron, Eddie and Jeff Garlett? Like, no other team has that. You guys really set up for them by getting up the ground, giving them space behind?
Yeah, and obviously very, very quick, and getting Eddie back this week, it's going to be stiff for someone to miss out. But wouldn't have thought Mick's going to leave him out. But it's going well at the moment.
Speaking of Mick, interesting to hear him yesterday talking about how he arrived in October. He had a game plan. He's already had to change it once.
Yeah, well, obviously...
The game structure that I had delivered in October, October in Arizona, is different than what it is now. Because you can be pig-headed and just keep bashing it and pounding it, and if the player group aren't really equipped for it, and that's what I had to find out.
I'll go again. Yeah, obviously he came with the structure that he wanted in, and it didn't work. And like he said, you got to go with the flow with football. It changes a little bit. I suppose now you're scoring a lot from turnovers, and contested balls not as important as it probably once was. And it's getting used to that change, and we've had to change. He's had to change, and I think we're finding a good gel at the moment.
So what are the subtleties of the change? What are the sort of, Mick was obviously renowned bally for playing a chip along the boundary. What are some of the subtleties?
Yeah, well, obviously I think you try to start with that, but I suppose with our pace in the forward line, we sort of can go away from that, try and use corridor a little bit more. But I suppose that we're a bit more one-on-one as well. So we're coping with it at the moment, and we just got to continue in the next couple of weeks.
They'll get a good opportunity, Richard, in the next 5 weeks as we have a look at what lies before them. Friday night, Friday night.
Yeah, well, they've certainly found some form, the Blues, but you're going to need it, Wadey. You've got some tough games to Essendon, Hawthorn, Collingwood and the Swans, all top 8, top 4 type teams. It's going to be a challenge. Yeah, and it's a good challenge for us because we'll know where we're at. But obviously looking forward to Essendon Friday night. They've come off a tough game at Sydney last night, and we know they're always up and about when we play each other. And hopefully we'll get a few there for the crowd, and looking forward to it.
Not many easy games these days.
Yeah. There'll be 4 full houses on Friday nights, Tommy. Just Giants and Suns second-year comparisons. You saw the Giants yesterday. We've seen them a few times this year. Their margins over the last month have been pretty ugly.
Yeah, I think everyone associated with the footy club would not accept the past month. They have been really significant losses, but I think often talk about sophomore blues, second-year blues in all sorts of sports, and individual players go through it, but the whole club's going through that. So it's not too dissimilar to what the Suns have gone through. But they do feel like, Richard, they're missing a key marquee player like a Gary Ablett who can get you 35 and kick a couple of goals.
Well, Tom, you live in Sydney. You know the market up there. Do they need to go out? Do they have to chase Buddy Franklin? A lot of talk about getting Buddy, a lot of talk of a 5-year contract. Is he the man? Do they need him up there?
I reckon he is on 2 fronts. I think that the Giants would really benefit from a really good player, first and foremost, a good experienced player, which all sides need. But I reckon he's the only player in the AFL that would have that cachet in the Sydney market. He's a genuine rock star, and he would attract attention. He'd bring bums on seats, as they say. So I'd be staggered if the Giants don't go hard for Buddy.
One of the real positives with the Giants and also with the Suns is the access they've given us. Have a listen in the box yesterday. They were all mic'd up, the coaches. Leon Cameron leading a lot of this conversation.
Forward 20, 30, 40, 50 metres.
Just get it in.
Let the forwards do it from there. He needs to have more composure. Okay, innit? Okay, because he's expecting good ones to him. He's got to deliver good ones to some other player. Controlled time. No. They've got a spare, so we've just got to be mindful that we've got to control the footy, build it up.
Thinking about coaching, Bally, just go and spend an afternoon with those blokes. Stressful.
I might go for one of those jobs sitting up the back there in the corner where you can just sort of hide away and not have to say anything. Yeah,
it was good on the phone, wasn't
it? Stats or the
Dean Brogan was just ordering pizzas. Going, anyone know? We thank the Giants more with Steve-O on the Giants in just a moment. Luke Ball, a Magpie review on Friday Night Footy. Campbell Brown, a race call. Flashback Sunday Footy. It's all on
Is it a full moon? You guys be very careful, that's going to fall on your head, I reckon. It's like a parking fine. All you do is you pay your money out and you think, what am I getting back for it? I'm not superstitious, but it's just imagination. But I tell you, that full moon has drawn that ball away from those goalposts like you can't believe. We're looking for his kids, but he's got none. He's looking for his wife. He hasn't got one yet. So no reflection on your girlfriend. Satisfaction to seeing some bloke in a grey hat being happy with himself. So and I'm not a bloke with a grey hat, I can tell you. So blame the moon.
The Silver Fox, Mick Malthouse had a win over Kevin Sheedy yesterday, the 47th edition of the Sheedy-Malthouse matchup. Essendon versus Dogs, Essendon versus Eagles, Essendon versus Pies, Giants versus Blues. Mick, 94-point winner. Richo?
Yeah, he's an amazing coach, and he will be the most coached player ever after Jock McHale. He'll go past Jock McHale, so that's an amazing effort. But I've got a bone to pick with Mick. I drove him down to Geelong last year when he was working with us on Channel 7, and we stopped to get a coffee, the local coffee shop there in Geelong. We came out, had a parking ticket. Mick, you owe me for half, mate. $45. I want it. I need that 45.
From parking tickets to ridiculous stats, but over the 29 years, between the two of them, they've coached 7 games difference. Their win percentage, Kevin Sheedy 58.17, Mick Malthouse 58.16. 0.01 difference between the two. So great servants of the game and congratulations, 47th edition. Yesterday in their 29th year. Bulldogs versus Port yesterday at TO Stadium, Tommy, up north in Darwin. It was the Bulldogs who were slow, 4-0 at half-time, 5-5. The Power 10 scoring shots to 4, and you thought, well, the Power get home here. Slippery conditions, tough night. 2 in a row to the Dogs.
Yeah, it was a tough night for Port Adelaide. Started the game really well, as you can see from the worm on the screen, and it didn't go too well after half time with the Power. But interesting game up north, and 7,000 people in Darwin. But the Dogs really sort of struggled early days, but got their mojo going in the second half. Richo, you're killing me, Richo.
Just for those watching, Richo's lost his way. Hey, the Power 5-zip, it favoured them the draw, and they were probably flattered by a 5-zip start. They've now lost their last 5. Scoreline led to 5 apiece.
Well, obviously Ken Hinkley came on board with Port Adelaide this year, and they had that instant sort of lift with a new coach coming in, and the Dogs' second year with Brendan McCann. Those two coaches know each other exceptionally well, both being at Geelong as assistant coaches, so they would have had a little bit of side rivalry going. As we see, the Dogs really started to come home hard in the second half and got up by just under 10 points. It was important that the Dogs won. That's 2 in a row now for them, so starting to get a bit of return for the hard work they put in.
What about Daniel G in Syracuse? So he came on as the sub and just had a huge impact again.
Yeah, he's been good. He's sub a couple of weeks in a row. Not the greatest circumstances he came in with Tom Williams popping his shoulder, so we wish him all the best. But no, G was good. He's playing a really good role for them.
3 things?
The 3 things I learned about the game. The Dogs are really starting to instil a never say die attitude. That'd be driven by Brendan McCartney and the coaching staff down there. Port are playing patchy footy. They started with 5 wins. Now they've got 5 losses. And the third thing, probably off Broadway, if you like, Ryan Griffin is a genuine A-grade midfielder. He's playing outstanding football. He may be the next captain of the Western Bulldogs. Matty Boyd's been a great leader of that club, but he has really elevated him. So we had 40 possessions. Outstanding player.
Yeah, he is, Tom. He's been an absolute star, and probably because he's a bit media shy and not as outspoken as others, probably doesn't get the kudos a bit, but I reckon for the last 3 or 4 years he's been an absolute A-grader. When you come up against the Bulldogs, from a midfield point of view, he's the one that you've got to look after.
Joan Syracuse has been in the midfield for a long time, Wade. He was the sub, as Tom said, for the 2nd week in a row, and he made a big impact. It's interesting to see how different clubs are using the subs. An older dog sits on the pine for a while and then comes on.
Yeah, and obviously it's a bit of a tactic these days, whether or not you're going to swap with a ruckman or something like that, or worst case is an injury. But it's good to see when the sub comes on with a lot of energy and contribute to the game.
He just reads the play so well, Jerry. He's never been quick, but he's always been able to kick a goal, and he's a smart player. He still knows how to find the footy.
Unfortunate when there's injuries. There are a couple last night. Tommy Williams and Jared Rennan, the two that were really disappointing. Tom Williams cannot, like yourself, Jared, have a really good long run at it, it seems.
Yeah, and sometimes you can just be very unlucky, and that one looked exactly the same. And obviously that one there, he's tried to tap the ball, and Big Will's knocked it, but they're just unlucky. And unfortunately, when you play a sport like us, you're not going to. There's always going to be injuries.
Jared, time for quick hands. First one, is it true there's some conjecture as to who proposed to who with your wife?
No, there's no conjecture. I was always going to propose, and yeah, I would never let the vice versa work.
I really hope this is true, but is it true, Wadey, if you kick a goal a quarter, you don't have to do any housework at home for the week?
It's not, but it is now.
Mate, I don't want to feel like we're ganging up on your wife here, but is it true that the morning after a game you get the critique from her as well as your forward coach?
Yeah, if you have a stinker, you don't want to go home.
Yeah.
But nah, Jackie and I speak about the game a bit, and she's actually very knowledgeable in the sport, and she knows exactly what gets me going, and it's helped me a lot.
And the last one to continue the theme, Wadey, is it true you're really desperate to be part of WAG Nation 2?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be number 2. We'll just keep it at one series. But nah, it was a good bit of fun and copped some slack from it, but it's all good fun.
Wadey, well done yesterday and good luck next 4 games for you. Friday night footy.
Thank you very much.
Jared Waite, great to have him on board. Campbell Brown, he's coming on in just a moment. He's going to do a phantom race call of his horse winning the Silver Slipper. And the Kevin Sheedy pre-game address. Stay with us on Game Day.
Yeah, I was part of the furniture at the ball house, the 4th child, and they were my big brothers.
Nah, they're doing beautiful.
I put my foot in it, so I stand here today and I'm happy to cop any criticism or any critiques to point out that I did the wrong thing, not intentionally, but nevertheless it caused hurt.
Yeah, great sign that for Luke Ball coming back from a knee reconstruction.
Alex Vasolo was today absent from training after falling victim to Collingwood's injury curse.
He's the coach of Collingwood. I saw his How's that one?
Heath Shaw is set to return for Collingwood on Friday night after missing last week due to a combination of hamstring and skin fold issues.
I'm just disappointed that it's got out of the club because things like this should be kept in-house.
Dale Thomas clearly up and about, but he's still expected to miss the rest of the season.
Yeah, good teams play consistent football. We're not doing that at the moment, and so therefore we ask ourselves if we're a good team.
Collingwood have won! Collingwood have beaten Geelong! The undefeated team in the comp.
One of the biggest and most famous clubs in the land, and well, when there is dental work done to even a rookie-listed player, it makes front-page news, Ball. Are you surprised, after coming from St Kilda going to Collingwood, how everything that happens at Collingwood is magnified?
I hadn't seen any of that, so no, not really. No, look, it is, but I think we love the positive side of it. We love playing in front of big crowds every week, and the fact that we are probably the biggest club in the competition. So the flip side of that is that you have to put up sometimes with some negative aspects of what's going on at your club.
Well, I was going to say, Paul, has it just happened because of the supporter base with Collingwood? Obviously got so many thousands of members, or it's really a sort of driven drive from, I guess, administration management at Collingwood to continue to grow as they are?
Oh, I think so. We get as players, we get the feeling that it's driven from the top down, that we really want to try and drive our club to be a powerhouse in the competition, and amazing credit to Eddie and Gary Pert up the top there that they've been able to do that. And I think tomorrow they're going to cut the tape on the new renovations at the Westpac Centre. So as players, we absolutely reap the benefits of that and are very appreciative of that. But as I said, sometimes there's little offshoots that you have to put up with as well.
Well, the fact there's even a 24-hour footy channel dedicated to Collingwood mention just highlights how massive the organisation is. And on Friday night there was a bit of, there's plenty written in the papers as to where Collingwood was at. Brisbane Lions were decimated through injury, but it was Friday night football, big stage. Travis Cloak was the laid out. But, Bally, the Pies never gave the Lions a look in.
Yeah, it was great to be back out there on Friday night after a pretty disappointing last week against the Swans Hammer. And I guess we had a huge focus on the start, and obviously it didn't help with Big Trav eating a bad prawn on Thursday and having to pull out, but it meant Reedy got swung forward and he hit the scoreboard. He actually started as a forward, but I think our pressure and intensity was back to somewhere near its best. Joshy Thomas there getting on a goal. Young Benny Kennedy in his 5th game, I think, probably could have centred that, but he thought I'll have a go at the limelight here and have a go at the goal of the year, and did a good job. And Swanee was magnificent again after a couple of weeks of being under the microscope a little bit. We probably got a little bit sloppy after half time, and the conditions, you see a little goal assist there for number 12 and Blairy get on the end of that, and we got a little bit sloppy, and Jack Redden here saying that anything you can do, I can do better, Benny Kennedy. So there were a few highlights, but Overall, we thought that our intensity in the first half really set up the game, and you know, any win on the road's a really good win.
Is Ben Reid going to want to go back now? He kicked 3 goals and looked pretty good up there, Bowley.
He did, yeah. The boys were sort of laughing. I think he started his first game as a forward. He had a bit of the Josh Kennedy stutter step going in front of goal, but last Friday night he went back and slotted him, so he might be a bit of a swingman there. But the 3 things I learnt that whilst we'd love to have Dane Beams and Daisy Thomas and a few other guys out there, the injuries have given some of our young guys some really valuable opportunity to get out there and show their wares. From a Brisbane point of view, look, it's really hard to compete week in, week out in this competition, let alone when you're missing 5 or 6 of your best players, as the Lions were. So you got to feel for Michael Voss and the team there. And the third thing is that we've spoken about Adam Goodes, but the true champions of the game will always bounce back after copping some criticism, and that was Swanee on Friday night. He was back to his explosive best, hit the scoreboard a couple of times, and really covering the ground well. So no surprise to us that when a player like that cops a bit of a sting, that he came out and responded in great fashion.
Well, Bawley, in the past fortnight in particular, he spent a lot of time up forward. Is that a sort of tactical move, or has he been sore? What was the story behind it?
No, it certainly was a tactical move. We want to sort of try and maximise his output, and you see some of the players across the competition being able to do that. Against Fremantle, he went forward and looked really dangerous, kicked a couple of goals, and I guess so. So he's not just a sitting duck in the midfield for someone to come and sit on him, being able to take them forward or even behind the ball. That was the idea then, but he probably played a bit more out and out midfield on Friday night.
Hey, Bawley, we know I've had a lot of injuries this year, but the positive of that, you keep unearthing rookies, and Kyle Martin again Friday night, he was terrific, 22-year-old.
He was, and he'd just been dominating the VFL and knocking down the door, making it impossible for the club not to pick him. So I'm really big on, now it's another example of these mature age guys who, maybe aren't quite ready at 18, but go and play at local footy. He played at Frankston last year, won their best and fairest easily, and you see it there. He's a good Sandringham Dragons boy, and I think he went to Haileybury, so he's best mates with Tommy Lynch at Adelaide. Yeah. So obviously went away, had the real drive and passion to keep going, and got his opportunity on Friday night and handled it really well. Do
you reckon there's a lot more guys like him out there in suburban footy that could play AFL?
Oh, I've got no doubt there is, and we're seeing more and more examples every year of guys doing that. Barlow was well heralded one a few years ago. Sammy Dwyer's another one that we've got this year. So I think we're going to continue to see that, Richo.
Yeah. Well, even Harry O'Brien, it was an unconventional way to end up playing AFL footy. He's in outstanding form, Bawley. He just looks super fit.
Yeah, he just had a massive pre-season, Tom, and when you do that, he's been able to push up onto the wing, and you see him here. He's really got confidence in his legs to drive out of stoppages, and when that's going well for him, everything else seems to flow. His skills flow from there.
When we had the production meeting this morning, we said, who wants to speak about Simon Black? All hands went up to speak about a guy that's universally loved. He and Marcus Ashcroft have played 318 games, which is just remarkable. And when you look at his CV, it is sort of hard to believe it exists.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. I've obviously had a few, I suppose, goes at him over the years, and one that sticks in my mind is my first final up in Brisbane in 2004, and I was sort of lined up next to him and was 19, 20-year-old at the time, thinking this is really good, first final, and I think we came in at half time. I'd had 2 possessions and he'd had 24, so I thought, okay, this is the level you need to get to. He's a magnificent player. He had 30 possessions the other night. He's still doing it off a limited pre-season, and as I said, he's just going to go down as one of the all-time greats.
Richo, as we look at the Lions injury report, thanks to Swiss, it's hard to believe that a player can win a Brownlow, win a Norm Smith, win 3 premierships, runner-up, I think, a couple of times in Brownlow, 3 times runner-up or so at the Lions' best and fairest. He's just a phenomenal player.
Yeah, he certainly is, and one of the most liked players, as you say. Him and probably Lenny Hayes are the 2 most liked players in the AFL. But you have a look at that, and you can see why the Lions, have been struggling a little bit, because Rich, Leuenberger, Rockcliffe, Johnny Brown's out, suspended at the moment. Big Sauce Merritt's out as well. Matty Maguire's their centre-half back. No teams can cover that many injuries, let alone a team that's probably developing. So, look, they're doing a good job to actually compete, and they beat Essendon a few weeks ago.
Talking of developing teams, we've got a man as part of the Gold Coast Suns coming up in just a moment, Campbell Brown. Luke Paul and his cousin Josh Kennedy in the boxing ring, but right now it's round 10, Nicker Bates Speed Wrap.
On here, and look at the pace of Armfield. Has he kept it in? He has kept it in. This might bring the roof down. Armfield.
I don't understand. And he has ramped it up. He's missed That's the other one to the left. This one was curling. Oh, what a kick from Hibbert.
Heard a voice, goes over the shoulder. Redden deep in the pocket, tries to pull it back, and he kicks the goal.
Dangerfield's inside 50. He's got it. He spins. It kicks. It rolls. It goes.
Here's Ablett from the pocket. High ball. Don't tell me.
Yes.
Goodness gracious me. No. Goodness gracious me.
I was part of the furniture at the ball house, the fourth child, and they were my big brothers. It was great being able to hit him up with some boots or some hand-me-down shorts or something like that.
I think I remember I kicked one goal on you at one stage.
No, you didn't, mate. You nearly did. You said you nearly kicked the goal of the year.
Welcome back to Game Day. Luke Ball with his first cousin bully.
He was, and he used to be a lot smaller than he is now. So I used to be able to. I'd feel pretty confident back in the day, but geez, I'm out of my weight division now. He's a big unit.
And your mothers are sisters?
Yeah, they're sisters, and they used to live up the road, so we were pretty close. And as he said, then me and my older brother would take him out in the park and have a kick with him, and I probably didn't envision him being as good a player as he is now.
So you taught him everything he knows, basically.
I'm going to claim a little bit. At least 50% of that I'll take, yeah.
A few drinks on Christmas Day would be an interesting stoush. So let's go to the Swans and the Bombers. It was match of the round on paper, and it was really important given where these two sides want to finish at the end of the year. Top four up for grabs. In the end, the Swans, after a tough week for Adam Goods, got the points, 4 points by 44 points, and they leapfrog the Bombers and they slide into third spot, boy.
Yeah, I had a good look at this one yesterday on the couch, Saturday twilight hammer. It was the game of the round, and early, I mean, the wet conditions probably suited the Swans at the SCG, but it did have that sort of finals-like atmosphere, and it was a really tight, tough encounter in close. As I said, probably suiting the Swans, but the Bombers stood up to them, and I think they had more inside 50s in the first half, and the scores were pretty level. But as the Swans have been doing, as they did to us last week and have been doing over the last few years, they just wear opponents down with their relentless pressure around the ball. And you see there, as we mentioned earlier, Goodsy took the game by the scruff of the neck in the third quarter. The one thing about the SCG, though, is and we saw it with Freo against them a few weeks ago, you're never out of it, and the centre clearances at the SCG become really vital. And you see a couple of goals here from outside 50 just being dribbled through, but the damage was done probably in the third quarter, and there's Jetta with that slingshot run, getting it over to McGlynn to kick the sealer. And the Swans were too good in the end. But the three things I learned is that, gee, the reigning premiers are in pretty ominous form. And when you think that they've got Kurt Tippett sitting in the wings too, ready to go in a couple of weeks, they are looking pretty dangerous. The sub rule, I think, could probably be looked at and do with a bit of tinkering. I think at one stage in the third quarter, Scott Gumbleton was subbed out tactically, so he was fit and healthy, and then 5 minutes later, Courtney Dempsey went down injured, and it just seems a little bit silly to have a fit player on the bench. Perhaps we could look at having that guy sub back on. And the third thing, and again, not so much learnt, but reaffirmed watching yesterday, is that Sydney have the deepest and best midfield in the competition. And if you sit on Kennedy, if he doesn't get you, then Hanbury will. And yesterday, Heath Hocking did a pretty good job on Hanbury, but Bird came in, Jack got off the chain, and Jude Bolton's there, and it's even forced Jared McVeigh, who's a star, back to the half-back line, and he was probably best on ground yesterday. So it's almost the old finger in the dike. You can't stop them all.
So what happens, Paulie? Jeremy McVeigh had 34 touches. He's basically playing a permanent half-back, and then Matney comes back into the side. Reece Shaw comes back into the side. Is just natural for Macca to go through to the mids again?
Well, I think it's just that they've got that option. You see, he's such a smart player and a really smart ball user. And I mean, they've got a bit of an embarrassment of riches there when you think of Reece Shaw and Marty Mattner, two really good rebounding defenders, and young Rampy as well has come in and filled that void that Alex Johnson left. So, as I said, they're looking pretty ominous.
Courtney Dempsey and Tommy Walsh were sort of the lowlights of twilight football.
Yeah, I mean, you see Dempsey there. Geez, that was brave, backing back with the flight. And he actually got up, and it was almost like a delayed response, but then it became pretty apparent when you see this footage that something was pretty clearly wrong with him. And it was a fantastic effort by him. And you see Tommy Walsh here. He'd actually started really well. It was a tough day for forwards, but he was moving really well and getting into a lot of contests, getting his hands on it. And you look at there, and I can remember Matty Lloyd. I mean, I don't want to sort of, diagnose him before their doctor does. But you remember Matty Lloyd getting the foot stuck in the ground there and had a really bad hamstring injury. You just hope that it's not that, Richard.
Yeah, certainly do, because that's a big one. You miss the rest of the season if it is. What about Michael Hibberd for the Bombers? I reckon he's just about the most improved player in the comp off half-back.
He is. He's certainly in all-Australian form, and I think the one thing about him is he's deceptively big. Yeah. He's a genuine 6'2", 6'2.5", and really strong around the hips there. And you see there, he's a beautiful long kick, and that goal there got the Bombers back into it. And he's rarely beaten one-on-one, and then he's finding a lot of the footy as well. So certainly an all-Australian form.
He's another one that didn't get drafted as a young player.
Yeah, another example.
And you talk about embarrassment of riches for the Swans. They had a debutant in Tom Mitchell last night, father and son, obviously, of Barry, and came on as a sub, but was effective straight away. What did you take out of his game?
Oh, yeah, a huge first game. I couldn't believe that he was only 20 years old. He looked like a 24, 25, certainly physically, and just his composure. I mean, it was really the high-pressure game. The conditions were slippery, but I think he had 9 or 10 score involvements in his 15-odd possessions. So they've got another one there, another beauty.
Yeah. And they made him earn it, Tommy, in the local comp. Did he have 54 possessions or something a few weeks ago?
He did. He plays in the NEAFL for the Swans reserves. And he just racks. He's an outstanding young kid. You know when those kids come to your footy club and just reeks of leadership? Just outstanding.
So the Giants had a chance to get him, did they? Or they ended up choosing the father-son?
It was father-son to the Swans, but the Giants, with their priority picks, had a chance. And living in Perth, both clubs flew him over to Sydney, and Swan said, we'll take him for the first half of the day and we'll just drop him off to the Western Sydney in the afternoon. And if you're from Sydney, you know 4:30 on the M5 is not exactly the smoothest ride out to Blacktown. And so I think he did a U-turn and went straight back to Bondi, and he stayed in Sydney ever since.
Clever, the Swan. So they put him out in the middle of the traffic at 4:30, said, off you go. 4 hours later, he goes, not for me.
Yeah, pretty much. But he'll be an outstanding player.
Steve-O's coming in next. He's got all the news, and put on your seatbelt. So too is Campbell Brown. He's going to give us a race call. He's been outstanding since he's come back. Had a bit of time off. The Suns are going well.
From the minute you sat down, the way you got to live got my head spinning around.
Campbell Brown! First career goal for Campbell Brown.
It is on everywhere out here, boys. Spot fires all over the place.
Campbell Brown looks to be bloody round the mouth as well.
And a strong mark is taken by Brown right on the 50. Brown wasting no time. Bacon square. This has got to carry. Campbell Brown to long range.
Number 30, Campbell Brown.
They're going to be angry, the Hawks. They're angry.
Campbell Brown up. Vintage Brown. Golden Brown. Brown. Welcome back, Campbell. Goal number 3.
Good morning with Campbell Brown. He's in good form at the moment. He's going to do a race call for us today. Welcome, Brownie.
Thanks, mate. Yeah.
Tell me, Saturday night under lights at the Cattery.
Yeah, it was an outstanding game. It was a build-up like a final, just with the lights on and Gary's return to his old club, and a really big test for us as well, coming off a good game last week against Hawthorn, and in the past we've been good and then pretty ordinary. So we really spoke during the week about backing it up against quality opposition, and for 3 quarters we did that. Unfortunately, ran out of legs in the last quarter and got pantsed, but yeah, it was a pretty good performance.
Brownie, we saw you watching on a lot earlier in the year, and we put together the Campbell Brown form guide. We know you love your racing, but this is what's happened. So 29-year-old stallion, by Mel Brown out of K Brown. There you silk. Scratched from the first 6 rounds. The steward's inquiry didn't go your way. They ruled unfavourably. First up, you went well. 3 goals, 3 behinds. The win over the D's. Second up, 3 goals and a behind. Lost against the Hawks, led by 17 points in the third term. Got done in the end, and level at 3/4 time after leading by, I think, 13 points in the third time. Tough veteran stay, who clearly has a lot left in the tank, will always give you a good run for your money. That's a fair assessment, isn't it?
Oh, mate, I feel a bit more like a gelding than a stallion. We won't go there.
Now, just on breeding, you're by a pretty cantankerous stallion in Mal Brown, and we've just got some image of your old man from yesteryear. Have a look at what he does with the microphone and where he puts it. He hasn't had enough yet. He's pretty loose.
Yeah, no, he's fairly loose, and my mum's just as bad, so she'll probably kill me for that.
Oh, yes,
But no, look, he's been a great influence on my career, and he's always a bit of a laugh in the household.
Hey, Brownie, we love a good falcon and it always gives us a bit of humour, and you were on the end of a pretty good one in the last few weeks.
Yeah,
mate.
I reckon this is as good as I've ever had. That was... I wasn't expecting it either, because Sammy Mitchell was aiming across the other side of the ground and it's come off the inside of his foot and just hit me straight in the face. I had Sharon plastered across my face for the first half of last week.
Like a scene out of Platoon. Anyway, let's have a look at last night. It was great to see the lights on at Geelong, and the Suns were simply outstanding for all of the first three quarters, led during the third term, as they did against the Hawks, level at three-quarter time, and extraordinarily, Richo, it was the Cats 9-1 in the final term, and that scoreline does not reflect at all what happened last night.
No, absolutely spot on, Hamish. It doesn't reflect the game at all. It was a ripping encounter, and electricity was finally turned on at Geelong and the lights came on, and it was a great contest. Gary Ablett, it was all about him early, coming back to Geelong, and the fans were really welcoming of him. Tommy Hawkins kicks that goal there, but his opponent, Big Rory Thompson, played a really good game on Tommy, but it was just the pressure and the tackling intensity at the Gold Coast Suns and their transition footy. They didn't allow the Cats to have their normal play on and run, and it was just a really thrilling encounter for the first three quarters. And at three-quarter time, you thought, geez, could an upset happen here? The last few minutes before three-quarter time, the Cats did get going, and it was probably through guys like Bartel. They started to lift a little bit. James Kelly, Stevie J. This was obviously the highlight of the night. Gary Ablett, in front of his old fans, kicks that goal, an unbelievable goal. There was even Cats fans standing up and applauding the great man. Guthrie comes in and kicks a goal here in the last quarter, and it was a 9-goal last quarter by the Cats that won the game, but the scoreline didn't reflect just how good the Gold Coast Suns were. They were really good, and they're starting to develop as a side. We'll talk to Brownie. Three things I learnt. Rory Thompson, who I just said, he's going to be an A-grade defender. I rate him really highly. Geelong have serious afterburners. Every game they've played this year, they can blow a game apart in 5 or 10 minutes. And there's still plenty of love and attention for Gaz down at Geelong. And it was all about him last night, and he certainly produced 34 touches. He started the game on Stevie J, and Tommy, you know these guys, they're competitors, and they would have loved going head-to-head.
Yeah, absolutely. And those two in particular, really good mates. But I reckon it's the start of a sort of new era with free agency and those sorts of things, when favoured sons are going to go and play for other clubs. And like in the EPL and those sorts of competitions, the favoured sons come back and they get a round of applause, and that's the way it should be. And they love Gazza, and he played a great game. It was a good result.
I was in the crowd last night, and Stevie J and Gary were together, and bloke just yells, "It's freak on freak!" and the bloke next to him said, "We should be paying double for this."
Yeah, exactly.
Nathan Vardy was a great return.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, he kicked 4 goals, and I mean, just the size of the bloke. Yeah. He's near enough 200 centimetres and picks the ball up like that. And I think if you want a mark of how highly he's regarded down at Geelong, I wouldn't imagine Matthew Scarlett would hand his jumper over just to anyone. So he's wearing number 30, and huge hopes for a player who, in the off-season with a hip surgery, there was a real conjecture as to whether he was going to come back, so that's a plus for the Cats.
You mentioned his size, and Brownie, it's just amazing now, these key position players like Rory Thompson, they're almost ruckman size, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're so agile as well. You know, they're really hard to stop, and it was fantastic to see Vardy back after 8 hip operations. It's just a really good story.
It's unfair, really. Those blokes that big, you can move so well. It is. They're getting bigger and bigger. And Brownie, your own form, mate. You've come back in really good nick. You can go for another couple of years.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. I'm honestly just taking it week to week at the moment. Felt pretty good. Had a really good pre-season, and obviously really frustrated having to sit out the first 6 weeks of the year. So just trying to make every post a winner. And
we just saw there a little bit of cramp on the chase down there, or everything.
Yeah,
okay?
no, it wasn't cramp. I was just trying to chase him, and something went in the knee. I don't know if it's old age or not, but wasn't working quite how it should. But I got back out there and finished the game off okay.
You're going to keep going, Brownie? You see your old mate Hodgie there. He thinks you can go for another couple of years yet.
Yeah, no, that was nice of Hodgie. I'll have to give him that sling I promised him. And yeah, no, honestly, it's very much week to week for me at the moment. Out of contract, obviously, and you know, the way the side's going, I'd love to continue to play on and play my role for as long as possible. But you're only, you know, an injury or for me a suspension away from not getting a game. So we'll just take it week to week.
Brownie, it's odd that we're even talking about Jager O'Meara in this company, but have a look at this graphic of where he is after his first 10 AFL games. Average disposals, more than Judd and Selwood. Average tackles, equal with Selwood, more than Judd. Average clearances, more than both of them. He's almost the reason you'd hang around and go another year.
Yeah, he's probably exceeded everyone's expectation already inside the club. We thought that he'd come in and make a bit of an impact, but to do what he's been doing the first 10 weeks of the year, and he's got a man's body. He's getting through the weeks, no problems. There's no signs of soreness or anything from him as well. And he's a little bit of a mix between those two. He's got the run of Judd and the flair, but he's as hard as they come too. You would have seen a couple of contests last night. He's just as tough as Selwood too, so it's a pretty good mix.
I'll tell you, a man who was getting a little bit nervous down on the boundary line was Cameron Ling, and I found out about him last night down there, Hales. He is just the mayor of Geelong. There he is, just having a chat with Hollywood A-lister and Guy Pearce. He's in amongst the rooms, and this man actually owns Geelong, Cameron Ling. He owns everything in town.
You know, they talk about the impact of the lights in the stadium, but it's, you know, Street Ryan do reports about economic impacts, and Ling, he'd be all over at the edge. He would have known exactly what that last night meant to him, but never met a more popular bloke in the town, I reckon.
Yeah.
And Glingy?
Absolutely.
He is the Lord Mayor. Apologies to the real Lord Mayor at the moment. Cats terrific last night again. Well done to Brian Cook and Frank Costa. Campbell Brown, how good a footballer, how good a commentator, how good a race commentator. We'll find out on the other side of the break.
Now, finally got an invitation back to the Brownlow medal. I'm cleanly shaven, shellacked the nails, threaded the eyebrows, waxed and tanned, just so I don't look out of place.
Here she comes, Black Caviar. She's eating the ground up. He's going to put to her front. She's the greatest horse of all time. Oh!
Now, finally got an invitation back to the Brownlow medal, and we're standing here on the red carpet, eagerly anticipating the arrival of some of our guests tonight. I'm cleanly shaven, shellacked the nails, threaded the eyebrows, waxed and tanned, just so I don't look out of place next to the absolutely stunning Pia Miller. Hi, Joe Watson and his girlfriend, Ella. How's your night been, and how long is it taking you to get ready tonight? And your beautiful girlfriend here, how's your day been, and who you dressed by? How's your night been, and who you dressed by? Absolutely stunning tonight. Who you dressed by? And the lovely Jess, who you dressed by tonight? Now, you've brought a beautiful-looking young date tonight. How you going, and who you dressed by?
Sammy at Soho on Chapel Street's looked after us tonight. I'm just still trying to work out how you got this gig.
That was one of the more random nights. You didn't interview one player.
Yeah.
Excuse me, what was your name? That's unbelievable.
Well, that's the only one I get invited to Brownlows these days, so doing the red carpet. So, no, it was very enjoyable.
Adelaide versus Fremantle yesterday at Amy. Really big ramifications for both sides. The Crows, that monster win last week. Fremantle have got so many personnel out, they continued to win or draw. 6 weeks without a loss now. There was the draw to Sydney. But, Richo, they just keep finding a way.
Yeah, they're an amazing team and obviously very well coached by Ross Lyon, and it was an intriguing battle going into the game. The Crows had that big win against North last week. Started off there with Danger kicking a goal. He had a battle with Ryan Crowley, of course, all day. But have a look at the conditions over there at Amy. It was the sort of day, if you're a forward, you wake up, look out the window, and you just ring the coach and say, I've got a little hammy strain and I won't be coming in. There's Hayden Valentine putting it through, and it was in the conditions, it was just a tight battle all day. It was a slog fest. There's Subman putting one through, gets the Fremantle Dockers in front. But the Crows, they hung in there with them, and it was obviously a defensive game. They got in front here by 17 points, but Adelaide fought back, and this goal from Danger actually put them in front. We know the controversy with the goal review. It didn't matter. He kicked that goal there. But then the next 2 goals were kicked by Fremantle. It was a great win by them at Amy Stadium. Always hard to win there, and they just keep on going, the Fremantle Dockers. The 3 things I learnt, big Sammy Jacobs in the ruck. His dominance didn't equal a clearance win for the Crows. That often happens in modern footy. Even in the wet, sides seem to be sticking to their game plans, and that was noticeable yesterday. And the Dockers, they just keep finding ways to win. But I reckon at the end of that game yesterday, it was their guns. Nate Fyfe, just about my most favourite player in the comp at the moment. I love the way he plays. Michael Barlow, we've spoken his praises for years now. Another mature age recruit. Stephen Hill, all class on the left foot. And David Mundy, who is a real leader. And Ross Lyon spoke about his leaders after the game. Really good win by the Dockers.
Paddy Dangerfield, he was, he's always been a hard man to keep down. How did Ryan Crowley go on him?
Yeah, well, Crowley's probably the best tagger in the competition. Do you reckon, Bawley, now?
Oh, he's right up there, absolutely, yeah. And he probably matches Dangerfield pretty well in terms of size and strength. But yeah, a couple of times there his power just got away from him then.
Dangerfield's hard to tag because he goes forward and kicks goals and is such a great mark. So good move to put him forward at times.
You talked about when it was wet, you had either eaten a bad prawn or had a hamstring issue. What does a coach say to you in regard to the 1%ers when it gets really sloppy?
Well, I guess that's what it's all about in the wet weather. The team that can just get at the footy harder because you're probably going to draw more free kicks in these tough conditions, and that's what it was about yesterday for the whole game. Smothers, tackles, putting your head over it and trying to win that hard ball and just get it moving forward your way.
So the Swans and the Dockers both have a win. They equal third and fourth percentage has the Swans with their noses in front. We always welcome Mark Stevens on a Sunday morning. Welcome to you, Steve-O.
Hammer, great to be here.
What's the hot topic?
Well, the hot topic will be Mark Neal today, and I think he's probably praying for rain this afternoon. He might get it because there's going to be a big focus on what happens at the MCG. Of course, a board meeting 2 o'clock tomorrow where he'll have to front and basically give his blueprint for the future. Be interesting to see if he survives. I don't think he will. I think he's just about cooked, Hammer, at the moment. I think he'll get through to Labai. They'll play Collingwood, of course, Queen's birthday. Big question is, who takes over next?
You think that if he gets beaten badly today, the Demons is his last match as Melbourne coach?
I think he'll get through another one and probably Collingwood. Now, we love Mark Neal, the way he's gone about it with the media has been great. He's been honest and upfront. He's had a crack at it, but look, at this stage it hasn't worked, and I think Melbourne will take action.
Steve, I don't understand that. You're saying, like, you might get through this one and the next one. So you're sort of saying they've already made their decision, but they're going to wait 2 weeks? That doesn't seem fair to me.
Well, they're giving him a chance in these 2 games. Of course, with the bye, Richo, if they're going to make a change with a caretaker, it just gives them a couple of weeks to sort it out. But you can only hope they turn on a good one today.
So who does the rumour mill say the men most likely?
Well, people around Melbourne are saying if there is a change, Hammer, it will be a successful coach. And I think they need some hope, confidence and something to aim for at the moment. Of course, they've gone Bailey, then Neal, 2 untried coaches. Mark Williams would have to be at the top of the pile at the moment. He's hungry for it, just across the road at Punt Road at the moment. Of course, Clarkson's a Ross Lyon type scenario. Can they prize him away from Hawthorn? Of course, there was a 6-year deal put to him. And it was interesting today or yesterday that Alistair Clarkson spoke on radio just about the board and where they're at Melbourne. Have a listen to this.
Club boards generally whimper to what's been written and said. So that's what normally happens. I don't know how it's going to roll out this week. I don't know how strong Melbourne's board are, but nothing would surprise me.
Yeah, of course, that's Liam Pickering, who manages Mark Neal, of course, also manages Alistair Clarkson, who was offered a 6-year deal there. So it's interesting that Pickers would get involved with Mark Neal as his manager. You don't hear managers talk very often in that regard, do you?
And not specifically about a board. I mean, the inner workings of a football club, particularly at a board level, should be Chatham House rules.
Chris Judd, I heard you say has taken a pay cut, which allows the Blues a bit of sort of firepower.
Yeah, 400,000 to 500,000 next year, and Greg Swan's very interesting on this. I think they'll be active free agency. Mick Moldhouse is having a look at the list at the moment. He will make some changes. They'll look at picking up 1 to 2 players. This is what Greg Swan said on radio yesterday, Hammer, about the possibility of even Daisy Thomas coming to Carlton.
Dale Thomas. Everyone talks about Dale Thomas. That sort of mark in terms of that sort of price range?
Yeah, I think we could get somebody of that dollar value. Yeah.
Well, he's very good friends with Mick Moldhouse. They used to kick torps together in the rooms, and I think Mick's missed Daisy, and they could be back together. Of course, Daisy lived in a bungalow at the back of Greg Swan's house, so you never know, Hammer.
OK, and yesterday we saw Mick against Kevin Sheedy. Do we have Kevin mic'd up? I think we've got a PG version, have we?
Yeah, we have. Of course, he's as passionate and feisty as ever. We went through the tape. There were some expletives. I think that happens in every coach's box. There's no doubt about that. We saw some footage of Leon Cameron earlier. Let's have a look at his pre-game address yesterday before the Carlton game.
You played well here. A month ago you turned up here and played the top team, isn't it? Started off well. If you start well and you put the pressure on right from the first second, not the first minute. First second, let Carlton know that you're here to play a great game. Go and ask Menzel at Geelong how hard it is to lose your career. And if it's a 45er, then you hit the target. Don't lack courage in having a crack at that target. Right? We put that into the play this year instead of only long down the line.
He's fired up there, Sheeds, wasn't he? He used Menzel as an example at Geelong, seized the moment, and we also saw some great footage in the box of Leon Cameron, very measured. Also, James McDonald on the bench had a big role to play there with GWS. Could he be part of a package deal with Choco Williams to Melbourne? I reckon they could sell that well to the members, Hammer.
Okay. I was most sort of impressed by the Goodwill Hunting whiteboard that Kevin Sheedy had rolling. He's like a beautiful mind.
Is there almost too much information there? I'm confused reading that. If you're Stephen Caniglio, what do you think? What's going on there?
He was going for Confucius and got confusing.
Yeah, at least he's earning his dollars there, isn't he? And there's a lot of white markers going down the drain.
Thanks, Steve.
Cheers, mate.
You ready to do a race call?
Ready to go, mate? Yeah.
Campbell Brown's race call is coming up on the other side of the break. So is Sounds Good, Sounds Bad.
Here's Campbell Brown right around Australia on AFL Live.
Yes, there's nothing like AFL Live here tonight. Boyd, who kicks long inside 50, and it lands in the lap of Stringer. Jake Stringer, pick number 5 in last year's draft, and he hits it sweetly and he puts it straight through. It's ended up with Christensen. He handballs out to Caddy. The Balaclava bandit from the weekend goes short into the pocket, and he finds Stokes. Huge leap there from Jones. Oh, he's come down with it. That's a sensational mark from the former Scotch boy. Podsiadly works off his man. It falls over the back. He can't get a boot to it. Oh, the Western Bulldogs player ran over the top of it. And Selwood gets a birthday present right there.
A lot of people have got opinions, Richo, on commentators and how easy it is. It's not easy, and that was
very hard. Yeah, it's very hard. Player identification. Not a strong point of mine, but the great thing with radio is no one knows because they're not watching it, they're just listening to it, so you just go on.
Well, you said Joel Selwood gets a great birthday present there. It wasn't his birthday.
No. Just came out of my mouth and it sounded right at the time.
That was very good.
So that is your football calling, and it's terrific, and we know you love your races. When I ring you on your mobile and I get your message bank, it says, "G'day, you've called Campbell, I'll call you back after this race." That's true, isn't it?
No, that's true, yeah. Confuses people when they ring at about midnight now. There's no races on.
They're running in England. OK, so now we're going to get you to call your horse, which you own, winning the Silver Slipper in Sydney earlier this year, the 2-year-old, and she ran 3rd in the Golden Slipper, but this is her winning.
OK, let's do it. 250 metres to go in the Group 2 Silver Slipper. Caroscia and all the talk out in front. Here comes Sweet Idea. Sweet Idea, Jimmy Cassidy's moving on her down the middle of the track. They're not going to get her. Ring-a-ding-ding, the popper is a king. You guilty. Clickety-clack. Clickety-clack. Yes, it was funny. Tom Woodhouse rang Andrew Johns, who rang me and said, "Can't win that race." Well, behold, it did. Who knows what's going on?
Did you back it?
Yeah, certainly did.
Well
yeah.
I love the fact that you went up to Jimmy Cassidy afterwards and said, "Clickety-clack, the pumper's back."
I love Jimmy.
Time for Sounds Good, Sounds Bad. Dale Thomas should re-sign with the Pies. Sounds good, Bawley?
Yeah, sounds pretty good to me.
Think he will?
I think he will. Yeah, I think he will.
The Suns need to re-sign Campbell Brown, at least for 1 year. Can you fit it into your commentary?
Nah, 2 or 3, mate. Yeah.
What would you rather do next year? Just play another year with the Suns or just go straight into Friday night footy with Bruce?
Nah, play footy. I love footy, mate, so play as long as I can.
Richo?
Yeah.
Majak is the new Richo, and I want you to have a look at the stats that support what's going on.
With this?
Well, I don't really know, to be honest, because
Yeah,
I haven't seen these, but we're going to show you something that sort of shows you how well Majak is going in his first 4 rounds, or maybe how well you weren't going early doors. They're pretty similar. Game 1, goal apiece. Game 2, neither of you scored. Game 3, goal apiece. Game 4, 6 apiece. Game 5, you just got your nose in front. And Game 6.
Yeah, but Game 7, Majak got dropped and I think I kicked 5. There's one thing, that photo of him coming out of the water, he's chiselled out of diamond, I'm chiselled out of marshmallow, so there's a fair difference.
One for Tommy and Brownie. Celebration today. 350 games for Boomer. Glenn Archer said he's the most underrated player in the game. Sounds good, sounds bad.
I can understand that it would sound like a good call, but he's, in my eyes, certainly celebrated. He's sort of in between that sort of Hurd, Buckley, Voss, and then the current group coming through. He's an outstanding footballer. Yeah,
congratulations to Boomer. 350 games, just a wonderful, wonderful journey. And also to Daniel Wells, he plays 200 this afternoon. Time for some quick hands, Brownie. You know how this works. Is it true you believe that you were robbed of the CO Bachelor of the Year because you couldn't get to the presentation, and the only reason Andy Lee won it was because you had a footy commitment?
No, that's true. Yeah. They only announced the winner. They didn't announce second or third. I was in the top 50. I was somewhere there, mate. Probably, yeah.
That's off the table now, though, isn't it? Now
Engaged, man.
Engaged.
Yeah, about to get married. So Jess over there, and
Jess is here.
yeah, she's here. Yeah, she's a very lucky girl. I tell her that every day, so she'll be pretty embarrassed now. She'll turn the camera on and she'll be nice and embarrassed. So.
Welcome to you, Jess. October wedding, is it? Yeah. All going well? Yeah, it's all planned. Oh, well done. Good luck, and just keep him under control. I know it's not an easy task, on field and off. Thank you. Now, Richo, you're in charge from here.
Yeah, well, when are you getting married? So what are you doing with the wedding plans? What's your one task you've got to perform?
Just rocking up. Yeah. I think if I can get that right, everything else will be sorted out for me.
Mate, 3 years' time, are you calling the AFL Grand Final or the Melbourne Cup? Or both? If you have to choose one, choose one.
I choose football, yeah. I like racing, but more of a hobby.
Brian, is it true you went on a fishing trip with Trent McKenzie? Both got cooked by in the same cook pawns that Clokey did, and then posted a photo on Instagram which wasn't necessarily factually correct.
No, that's true, yeah. That's 2005 in Cancun. I'm not sure what type of fish it is. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago we went out marlin fishing, didn't catch anything, and me and Trent spooned on the floor of the boat for about 5 hours, seasick. So I couldn't let everyone know that was the case, so I had to post a picture.
Is it true that you have brown dogs stitched into your football boots, a la Buddy does?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Does Jess do the stitching?
No, Puma did the stitching and loved the boots, but yeah, I do cop a little bit of flack for it, but it's all good.
It's been very refreshing to have you on, I've got to say.
I've enjoyed coming on, guys. Been good.
Tommy, quickly back to Friday night footy. I think Richo picked up on this. You were having a kick with one of the Oz kickers, and it seems that your kicking actually has improved since your days at Geelong.
For those who can remember me playing, I wasn't a great kick of the footy, and we did have a kick here. There's the first one I missed. I was probably being a bit presumptuous of the young fella. I saw plenty of space, Richo, and just thought he'd lead into the space. Yeah, he's it. So I go again, and...
Greasy ball up there in Brisbane.
I went to the hand pass after that. Thanks for the stitch up.
Thank you, Brownie, for coming in.
A little bit friendlier than the last time I was in here, isn't it?
Well, hopefully you play on again next year. If not, I'm sure there's a spot for you either in a radio box or a TV box. Great to have you. Melbourne versus Hawthorn this afternoon, the MCG, including footy flashbacks. Richo, the Tigers tomorrow night, will they win?
It'll be tough to go over there. You'd think the Eagles probably get the job done.
Bally, great to have you on.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully you'll come back.
Joey Montagna is a panellist on this show, plays his 200th game today, so well done, good luck.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Sunday.